it's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Friday, April 19th, 2019, with my next update video. Okay, let's talk about this week real quick. I filmed on Wednesday. I wasn't supposed to. Most of you are probably not expecting to see this video, but I filmed on Wednesday. So, before I get to that, this weekend, Danny took the laptop that I use for filming and editing. He took it down to Blacksburg, and on his way home, it decided to cliff dive off of the seat that he had it sitting on and crash into the floor of his truck. So I thought FlossTube was done for. I thought, okay, there it is. That's the end. I'm gonna have to buy a new laptop, and MacBook Pros are not cheap. So long story short, he took it to a repair shop and they fixed it. And they even said that their turnaround was pretty quick, but I didn't trust it. Like, technological repairs, there's no way that they can do that quickly. And it was done in 2 hours and not crazy expensive. So essentially what had to happen is we had to have the hard drive replaced. And all is well. Well, I hope. So that was awesome. He brought it home Tuesday night, and so I was ready to go on Wednesday. Wednesday, filming was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I had the worst case of FlossTube itchy nose. It was a long video, so I had to endure it for nearly 3 hours of raw footage. For what was probably going to be an hour-and-a-half long video. But I endured it. I stuck with it, and I was like, it's gonna be choppy, but sometimes my videos get choppy. It'll be fine. I'll make it work. So I go to hit close on my FaceTime camera import screen here, which is what I use. I film directly into iMovie. I hit stop. I hit close. iMovie quit unexpectedly. Not wanting to panic just yet, I reopened iMovie and found it just gone. Gone. All of that footage gone. Deleted, never to be seen again. So I went and took a nap for like 4 hours because I was so disappointed. I was so bummed out. I had spent all that time and it was toast. But I didn't want to remain discouraged, and so I was like, all right, that's fine. I'll get up on Thursday, and I'll film on Thursday. And I got up yesterday, and I had a little headache. But I thought, it's a little thing. I had slept with my hair tied up, and so the hair tie was pressing into the back of my head. That's what gave me the headache. I was sure of it. So I stitched for a little bit, and then as I'm getting ready, my head starts pounding. And then it starts pounding harder. And then I get dizzy. And then I feel sick. And I was in full-blown migraine land. Couldn't, like, my luck. My luck. So I was not filming yesterday because not with a migraine. Nope. So today we are here. It's overcast like crazy. And it looks like it's going to rain for the next 2 weeks. So I'm just going to have to deal with it. The lighting's going to be a little weird. I've got false lighting over here, which you can kind of see doing some strange things, but what am I going to do? I don't have any other options here. So we're going to deal with some weird light today. And maybe it'll clear up next week, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm partially hoping it doesn't, just because I love rain on my birthday. Anyway, so we are here today, and I have a ton to talk about. I thought about editing it down and just doing the stitching stuff, but I would really like to talk to you guys about some of this other stuff too. So we're just going to do it all. We're going to do it all. I have a lot of whips that I've worked on, more than I did as of Wednesday. But anyway, I'm not going to harp on that for too much longer. I have a big finish, which most of you know about, but I'll share it here just in case this is the only place you see me. I have some upcoming plans, and then I need your help. Stitch Mania is just around the corner. It's so close, I can almost feel it. And I haven't decided what I'm going to work on, so I'm going to put it to you guys. Then I have a really quick little thing on haul and some books and knits. I have finishes across the board. So this is like the Trifecta 2019, I guess. Before I get into everything, I just want to stop here and say thank you for a couple of things. First of all, for all of the love and words of comfort and telling me it's okay to not be okay. After my video last week, I was off kilter. Yeah, I'm improved, definitely. But you guys, you helped tremendously. A lot of it had to do with Ikimo. I can't lie. I was really, really feeling the, I don't know, just the missing out on Stitch Shenanigans. I'm super grateful for everybody who did live videos from Stitch Shenanigans because we got to sort of armchair cross-stitch retreat a little bit for those of us who weren't able to attend. And so I just really, really super appreciate everybody who does that. But I also want to say thank you for the Stargazer love. I'm going to show you Stargazer here in a second, but if you saw her on Instagram or on Facebook, whew, my love for this project has exploded because of you guys. Your appreciation and your just love and honor and your words of confidence, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And so thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get into the works in progress. Okay, in works in progress, the first thing I have to talk about is a big finish. I'm going to bounce around the timeline a little bit because it just makes more sense to do that. Fortunately, you guys don't really care when I worked on things. And so it'll just work out better in my head if I go a little bit out of order. So here we go. Sunday, April 14th, Monday, and Tuesday, I was working on beating Stargazer. And I'm just going to be real upfront and honest with y'all. I didn't think it was going to happen. I had thought that I had scheduled it out so that I could have her done on Tuesday. And by Monday night, I was seriously doubting my prospects. I was burnt out on beading. I worked practically all day on Monday to try to get her done, or try to work through some of these beads. And I was feeling really discouraged at the end of Monday. I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to get her done tomorrow. There's so much beading still left to do. She is deceptively simply beaded. Just putting that out there for anybody stitching her. So Danny says to me, he says, well, if you can't get her done tomorrow, that's okay. At least try. He said, and rightly so, he said, tomorrow you're going to need some sort of mental distraction. You're going to need to be able to focus on trying to get this goal accomplished so that you're not thinking. And he's so right. I spent Tuesday working really hard on Stargazer, and I didn't have time to think about the anniversary because the 12-year anniversary of the shooting at Virginia Tech was this past Tuesday. And it always gets to me. It always affects me. I am consistently amazed that the 12-year anniversary means more than the 11-year, 74-day, 6th-hour anniversary. Like, for whatever reason, that specific year mark is so significant in my head. Can't explain it. Anyway, so it was really, it was good for me to be focused on this because I wasn't focused on that. I had some time for my feels, but it wasn't an all-day sob fest, which it has been in the past. So that was great. So I'm going to show you my Stargazer because I did get her finished on Tuesday. And then we'll talk about some stuff. So she is stitched on, this is the last time I'm going to say this, 32 count Belfast in Florin by Chromatic Alchemy. And I stitched her with a DMC color conversion of my own creation to represent Virginia Tech. And so there she is, all finished up. All right, so I'm gonna fold and bring her in a little close. So that you guys can peek at the stars. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So you can catch how sparkly the stars are. Okay, let's talk about beads. There are over 2,000 beads in this project. 2,053 to be exact. And I didn't do all the beads. So, what you're going to notice about the stars is that there's a couple of things. First of all, the big beads are missing. I did a bead conversion to delicas, which are cut beads, so they're a little bit more uniform in size and shape. And the big beads that were called for were size 6 mill hills. So I converted to size 8 delicas, which are a little, just a touch smaller, I thought. But these things are ginormous. They are so big, and they looked clunky and gaudy and completely out of place for the very delicate nature of this whole project. So I skipped it. I skipped it entirely. For those who have stitched her or are stitching her, you'll know that there's a star that's supposed to go here. Basically, I was going to use my thread that I was going to use for those big beads to get up there, to anchor up there, and because I didn't do the big beads, I just never did. And I think it's okay. I think it's sufficiently balanced, even without that. Okay, so let's talk about bead colors. In the stars is the only color where I did a straight up conversion to the delica, and that's these blue ones here. The original pattern calls for these ice green kind of colored beads for the stars, and nope, didn't care for it. I thought that it looked a little jarring against my neutral fabric, and I was not a fan. So I converted to an ice colored bead because I thought that would work. The other colored bead used in the stars is a champagne. It's like a pink champagne color. And the Delica conversion was to more of a yellow champagne, and I didn't love that. It wasn't sparkly. It was more matte. Not quite matte, but more matte than I wanted for stars. So I found something that I thought was more of a pink champagne. So this swirl right here and this swirl right here are two different colored beads. They're the ice ones and the pink champagne, and you can't see the difference. I can bring it in super close and you'll never be able to tell. So that's kind of annoying. I wish that I had done something different, but that's the way it goes. And it's okay that they are close in shade, so close you can't tell the difference. That doesn't bother me so much. So there's that. And stars are all over the place. Okay, so let's talk about the reason why I kept the beading sort of secret until the finish line. Up here, and I haven't talked about this in any of my Facebook posts or Instagram or anything like that, this stretch of beads right here are 32 very special beads. 32 to represent the 32 victims, but not so jarring that you like instantly know what's going on there. So it's kind of subtle. Those are crystal beads with 24 karat gold lining. So they're a little special to represent 32 very special people. I wanted to do something to mark them, to mark the people lost. And so that's what I did. So these stars are the Hokie stars. And those beads I actually purchased for my birthstone dragons, but I had a ton left, and so I used 32 of them there. So that's it for the beads in the stars, I think. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so then we're going to get down into her jacket, and those beads are purple. Yeah, they're purple. So I ordered 3 different color beads to do for the jacket. 3 different colors. The first color I thought was going to be perfect ended up being like lipstick red, and that was not going to work. The second color were rust. They were brown rust, though. They weren't like that line between red and orange rust color, which is what I was looking for. So I ordered these purple ones, and I like purple, so it works out for me. I thought they were going to be more wine colored, but they are definitely purple, but I think it's okay. I think it works out just fine. If I was able to dye my own beads, I would have, but I did not have that freedom, so there's that. Okay. Then we're going to come down to the middle here, and probably my favorite, but also the heaviest beaded section is this right here. So that is what Danny called the netting. And I decided to do that in black so that it would have good contrast with all 3 sections that it interacted with. So it contrasts with the jacket and the skirts and the front of the skirts. So there's that. And then the orange skirts are like the easiest of the conversion. I went through 3 different ideas for the netting. I went through 3 different ideas for the jacket. I went through 2 different ideas for these down here. This, I ordered 2, but I immediately went with these, and I love them. They're like, what are they called? Candied yam lined crystal beads. So they sparkle, but they've got like a yellow-orange tone to them. So they stand out against the skirts without being overpowering. And then at the bottom, those are size 15s. I should have used these in the stars. You're not going to be able to see this looking at it here, but they are gilt. So they're kind of opalescent. They're kind of pearly, but also sparkly. They're really beautiful. I had originally ordered the direct conversion from Mill Hill to Delica, so it was more of an eggshell color. But I just thought something just a little, not sparkly, but shiny would work nicely down there for the skirts. So there we have it. And then in the charted version, there are these curls of beads that kind of come off the front and the back, and I just omitted those entirely. I didn't fully understand them, and so I just skipped them. So she's over 2,000 beads, and I didn't do them all. I did a few hundred beads short of the pattern. And yeah, so that's pretty wild. So she's all done. She's all finished. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. My signature. I'll see if I can zoom in on that so you can see it. I did my Jessica stitch. This is my first time doing my signature this year. And then 19 in Roman numerals, XIX. And I did them in the stone color here. So that's double purpose. And I can talk, I'll try to make this brief. So this is a Virginia Tech remembrance piece, obviously for the shooting, but it's also kind of an homage to my Virginia Tech life. Now I talked to you guys about how Hokie Stone kind of peppers everything on campus. It's on all of the buildings, and it's used decoratively and also purposefully all over campus. In addition to that, on the drill field, so if you're looking at an aerial view of campus, you'll see this great big green section in the center of campus. That's the drill field. And there are pathways that are kind of cut through the drill field for walking paths. So decoratively, at the edges of those paths, so around the perimeter of the drill field, but on the edges of each of the paths, there are like little spots of Hokie Stone sort of inlaid into the ground. Okay. Most people just walk the concrete or sidewalk paths or dirt paths, as the case may be. But in high traffic times, people will cut across those bits of stone, and they're like, I don't know, they're not very big spaces of stones. They're also not like super jutted out stones. It's hard to explain. I wish I had a picture of it. So the reason that I did my signature in a stone color there at her feet is that my junior year at Tech, I was crossing the drill field, headed back to my dorm, high traffic time, and so I decided to walk over the stones. It was early fall, so it was still really warm, so I'm wearing flip-flops. Walk across the stone, trip, fall, sprained my foot. Walking completely sober. I had just left a Spanish exam. I was completely sober. Walking, sprained my foot. Yeah, so that's why I did this stone at her feet. Hopefully she is more graceful than I am. So there's that. What else do I have to say about her? Oh, that's the other thing. I finished her in 32 days, and that was absolutely intentional. I worked on her for 3 days in 2017 when I started her. I worked on her for 4 days last year in 2018. And at the end of March, I was up to 25 days. 25 days of total effort. And I thought, could I push to get her finished in a total of 32 days? Because 32 is very significant, and y'all know I'm about the numbers. So could I do it? And yeah, turns out I could. So I scheduled and planned it all out so that I would finish her in 32 days on April 16th. 2 years to the day from starting her. Started her on the 10-year anniversary and finished her on the 12th. I love her. I'm so excited. My first big finish of the year. One of my primary goals for the year. Done well in time of my goal date. So I have more to talk about with her. There's a couple of other stories with her that I would like to tell, but I'm not going to do that here. I am working on a blog post, and when that's ready, I will add it to the description box below, and I'll let you guys know if you're curious. There are some other things that I have to tell about my Stargazer girl. So that is that. Okay. There's my Stargazer, and thank y'all for loving on her. And now you can see why I brought the farmhouse window out here. I just thought that I would post her up, at least for this video, and I don't know, maybe I'll do that coming up here. I don't have anything attached to the walls yet, so that farmhouse window that I got at Michael's last year, it's just kind of leaning on this cabinet here, but it's good to go. Okay, when we spoke last week, I was working on Opus 2 by Long Dog Samplers for homework and extra credit in the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. So here is what this will look like finished. I had to do a combined total of 1,000 stitches, and so I worked on this on Thursday, which I think is when I filmed last, and Friday as well. Okay, so let me show you where I got to with this. I'm stitching this on a 32 count linen from MCG Textiles, and the colorway is Oyster. DMC 924 is my thread of choice, and this is where I'm up to at this point. So there's the whole thing. Let y'all see that for a second, and then I'll fold up and bring it in close for the bits that I did this time. So like I said, I had to do a total of 1,000 stitches, and that got me these 2 motifs finished. So 2 more big motifs, all done. Bring that in close so you guys can see that thread color. I love this thread color. I love how dynamic it is. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's green. Yep, love it. I think that I finished my 1,000 stitches before I finished up this motif, but I just wanted to get a motif done. I don't like leaving motifs kind of half done, so I made sure to get that accomplished. I could have worked on this maybe until finished, certainly until Sunday when I was to pull out Stargazer again. Yeah, I could have kept going super easily. However, because Danny went to Blacksburg and I stayed home, I was looking for Stitch Shenanigans distractions anywhere that I could. And on Saturday, that was to do some Dark 13 stitching. So I pulled out my Halloween at Hot Grunt Hollow. And so here is what that will look like finished in a good long while, but there we go. This is by Carriage House Samplings. This is Retreat Distraction because it's on 40 count, and I'll never take this to retreat to stitch on while I retreat. So this was really great to work on because if I was at retreat, I wouldn't have been able to. Now, I have also worked on this for homework this week. I'm not going to go through my whole story for homework this week because it's elaborate and unnecessary, but just know that I worked on this for 5 tasks, and I may work it in for a 6th, but I'll talk about that here in a second. So this is on 40 count Newcastle linen in Country Mocha by Zweigart. And I finished working on this yesterday morning. So this is where I got to yesterday morning before I dissolved into Migraineland. And I'm really super excited about it. I'm really, really pleased with the progress being made here. Let me see if I can get the light to play in my favor. It's pretty close. I mean, you guys get the general idea, right? So that's where I got to with this. And this is another one I could have kept going. If I didn't have a migraine, I could keep going with the 40 count. But I do think that I am going to pull this out for another task in homework because I'm trying to not stitch on so many different projects. And to pull out another project this month for 100 stitches, I don't know. So between, let's see, Saturday the 13th and then Wednesday and Thursday, I put in a little over 1,000 stitches into this to continue working on that block. This is one of my Whip Go projects for this month, and so a little extra time on it wouldn't be a bad idea. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So there's that. Sunday, I was meant to get back to Stargazer immediately. However, Sunday was a big deal. Season 8 of Game of Thrones started on Sunday. And I was trying not to be hype about it. I was trying not to be excited about it because it's the end. Like, we have 5 weeks left of Game of Thrones. And I just don't know how to feel about it. A part of me is really excited about it because maybe that will give George a reason to finish the books already. Maybe, hopefully, without putting out these spin-offs. I'm really salty about the lack of books for 8 years now. But I'm also dreading the end because I have so loved this TV series. Anyway, to celebrate the kickoff of the new season, Impulse, it's the month of indulgences, I decided to do a sort of For the Throne, Sal. I think that's the hashtag I'm using, For the Throne. And so I was going to pull out a Game of Thrones project. And I'm going to do this every Sunday through the end. So for another 5 weeks, I'm going to pull this project out on Sunday and put in about an hour and a half into it each week, because that's about how long the rest of the episodes are going to be. 80 minutes, give or take. So I'm going to work on this. I'm not supposed to be working on this. This project is technically supposed to be in my UFO pile, but I don't care. I'm going to put in a little love on it. And it's not going to become a big focus thing. It's short term. I'm not using it for homework. I'm not using it for anything. It's purely for this, for this impromptu sale. So this is the Stark House banner, and the designer is Lolita Made. She's on Etsy, and she's got a whole bunch of different houses, so definitely check that out. And so I am working on this Stark banner. Oop, see-through. Okay, I can fix that. Fabric is 32 count Valyrian steel by Handmade Fabrics by Stephanie. And I am stitching it using DMC 762, which is a pale ice blue color-ish. So you probably won't be able to tell that it's anything but white, but it's not quite white. And so yeah, so that's where I'm up to. So this Sunday I focused on the lettering. It's charted in a different font. It's more curly, a little less Game of Thrones, if I'm honest. And so I recharted the lettering up there to look a little bit more Game of Thrones. It's a 20s Jazz Age inspired font that I just edited with the long stripes down the middle of the O, but I think it works. The S is still, both S's are still a little curly, but I'm kind of okay, I'm okay with those. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I like it better than the original. We'll go with that. Now, this took well over an hour and a half. Well over. I had to rip and try again and count and math, and the Stark might have to come out and be shifted. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to stitch this border up the top here and see how bad it is. I'm up to 4 stitches too far this way. Too far over here. No, too far over here. So, yeah, that's a bummer. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to stitch this border this weekend, see what it looks like from that point, and go from there. So there's my Stark House banner. I was so excited to work on this. Sammy J Stitches is working on this, and every time she pulls it out, she enables me a little bit. So I decided to come up with a reason to work on mine. So that's what I'm doing. And like I said, every Sunday. Finished up Stargazer on Tuesday. Wednesday, failed the film. Pulled out Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow for homework. Thursday, pulled out Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow for homework. Had a migraine. And then last night, I couldn't knit anymore, and I didn't feel like watching TV with my head all a jumble. So I tried to stitch and to work on something pretty simple. So I pulled out my next project for homework. And so this is another project this month, but that's okay. So this is Give Thanks by the Drawn Thread. I have this pegged for 2 of the tasks for this week's homework, so it worked out. It was okay to pull it out. I put in 200 stitches, and in fact, I even went a little beyond that. So here we go. There's that. Gorgeous turkey. And this is on 32 count vintage Country Mocha from Zweigart. So that Country Mocha life. And when I started this back in December, all I did was the chair. And so this time I worked on the first vase. And so I ended up getting that first vase complete. Now, I am doing this with the called for dinky dies, but I subbed the NPIs for DMC because I just didn't feel like spending for solid silks. I have such a hard time with that. I know NPIs are beautiful to work with, but I just have a hard time splurging like that. Anyway, so I did get that vase complete, and I'm going to insert some pictures, some up-close pictures of the vase. There are some cool specialty stitches in it that I hadn't done before. A couple that I had. There are these red flowers or satin stitch. The pink flowers are also a small satin. There are 2 neckbands in the vase itself that are horizontal Smyrnas, and then a Lazy Daisy cross, which was really interesting. But yeah, got that done. And I really like how it's looking at this point. So, my goal for this project is to put in 5 days this year, and I've already done 2 between yesterday and this morning. So, well on my way to reaching this goal, and hopefully I can get it finished next year. And that's going to take us to the end of works in progress. So let's switch over and talk about some upcoming plans. Okay, so this week I am working on homework. I'm trying to get my homework done, and then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, they dropped the next pop-up event, and that ends tomorrow at noon Pacific. Pretty sure, which is 3 p.m. my time. So I've got to get this done before that point. Points for Gryffindor. So the task at hand is 90 stitches, 30 stitches in a dark thread, 30 stitches in white, 30 stitches on an animal, and all 30 of those stitches have to be on the animal itself. It can't just be in the project somewhere. And so I'm trying really hard to not pull out like another project. I keep rotating through a bunch of things each month, and I just kind of want to see progress over quantity of projects. So I'm going to go back to something I've already worked on this month, and that is Farmhouse Christmas. So I am going to put in 90 stitches into this one project, and I'll probably do this after this video is done uploading. So I'm going to do 30 stitches on the horse for the animal portion. I'm going to do 30 stitches in a dark thread. The horse is done in Classic Colorworks Blackbird, so there's that one. And then 30 stitches in the snow. And that will see my pop-up event closed. So let me show you where I'm starting from. I started this block earlier this month, and this is where I'm starting from. I know because I'm backlit, that's why I've got light shining through, so that's where I'm starting from. Just a simple little start so far. This is a 32 count Belfast in flax from Zweigart. So there's that. That'll be quick. Super, super fast. Okay, back to homework. I have 3 tasks left for this week's homework. I did decide to go ahead and do all 10. We had several options for homework this week, and so I decided to go for the big one. I'll be honest, originally I was like, no, I can't commit to that. I had a big emotional finish this week. This week was already emotional. It was already complicated by things and stuff. So I was originally going to put in 1,500 stitches on something and call it a day. But the storyteller in me was not going to let this opportunity pass me up, so I went for the full 10. Anyway, so I have 3 left. One of the ones that I have left is the candy one with relation to Honeyduke's Sweet Shop. And I have picked out for that task Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare. So this is the one that I may just forego it and instead go back to Halloween and Hawk Run Hollow and make that fit. Because I just don't feel like pulling out another project this month. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is 32 count Belfast in Gingerbread by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This project was started as a sal that was supposed to finish Halloween of last year. As you can see, I've got a long ways to go. And I'll have inserted a preview of what this is going to look like finished, because I don't have one handy. So there is Spooky Countdown. Hopefully I can get to this soon. I think it's on my Whipco board. So it is going to come out at some point. And I would like to finish it this year. mostly so I can get to my other primitive hair project, not gonna lie. But anyway, so we'll see if I work on this. The last 2 tasks are going to a project that I'm already planning on focusing on this weekend. It's a Stitch-a-thon weekend through Cross Stitch Finish Line, and I've decided that I want to put some work into this. So this is, in this moment, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner, charted, of course, by Heaven and Earth Designs, aka Mika McKenna. And I should have worked on this last week. What was I thinking? Anyway, so this is on 25 count Lugana in cream from Zweigart. I am working on page 22. This piece is gargantuan, and I haven't worked on it since the beginning of March, which is a big draw for me to get to it. There we go. Reorganize the bed sheet. Nope, still wrong. I had it right the first time. So that is where I'm at, and I am down here on page 22, like I said. I have just the simplest little start on page 22. So this is going to get at least 200 stitches, but I'm going to work on it a whole bunch this weekend for a Stitch-a-thon and to try to get at least one of the by the numbers done before the end of the month. So there's that. Love her, and we'll see what I can do. Okay, let's talk about Stitch Mania. We're like less than 2 weeks away, and I don't know what I'm working on yet. Yep, I haven't decided. So as you guys know, I'm planning on doing Maynia, and I haven't settled on what I'm going to work on. So I'm kind of coming to you guys and asking you for help. So I have narrowed it down to 4 major ideas. I would really appreciate it if you guys would vote. If you could vote for me and tell me what you think I should work on, that would be super helpful. Okay, so let me explain to you how Maynia is going to work for me, and then I'll go through the 4 options. I am working on my Maynia project from May 1st through May 19th. So 19 days, 2019, that sort of a thing. And then those last 12 days of the month are going to go to some various things, and it depends on what gets chosen as to how I break up the those last 12 days. So option number 1 is, in this moment, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, aka Mika McKenna. Sound familiar? I'm not going to show you the whole thing again because I just got her folded up. Last September, I worked on this project, pretty much the only thing I worked on in September. I think I said September already, but whatever. I managed to complete 3 pages. Yep. I started and finished 2, but I completed a total of 3. So 19 days, I could probably get a page finished, maybe even 2. And that would be really cool to have 2 more pages done by the end of May. So option number 1. Option number 2, Opus 2 by Long Dog Samplers. I don't know that 19 days would see this finished, but it would get me awfully close. Awfully close. And so that is very attractive to me. On top of the fact it's monochrome, so it would be really easy to binge this. Yeah, this is a big potential. So Opus 2, aka Maggie, possible for Maynia. Let me know what you guys think. Option number 3. Touching the Autumn Sky by Mirabilia. So, I've talked about my Stargazer rotation and how in future, as in starting in June, that rotation is going to become my oldest whip rotation. It's not going to be replaced by Mirabilia. I would still like to get this finished this year, and so 19 days dedicated to this, very attractive. So highly, I mean, it made the top 4, so definitely, definitely an option. I am stitching this on 32 count Belfast in Moana from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And I've decided to nickname her Moana because I keep wanting to call her that since that's the name of the fabric. I started this back in December, just a simple little start to get her going before the end of the year. And that's what my fabric looks like. Beautiful, isn't it? I think it'll be really pretty. So there is that Touching the Autumn Sky. Okay, option 4 for Monogamania 2019 is not exactly monogamous, but basically. So last year for Monogamania, I chose a past Maynia start that I focused on to the finish through the end of the month. So with this year being, I'm focusing on a select number of projects. I have a few Maynia starts in that pile, so to speak. But nothing significant. Nothing that's going to take the whole month. I have a few things that are going to take much longer than a whole month, and those things only have a 5-day goal set to them. These other two are smaller, so they would be faster to finish than a whole month. I can almost guarantee that. So it's attractive because I could potentially have 2 finishes. So option number 4 is Maynia projects from the past. And one of those is Queen Anne's Lace by Nora Corbett. This is from the April 2016 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. You'll see a preview of what it's going to look like finished. I don't have one. And I'm stitching her on 28 count cashel in Crystal Wren by Picture This Plus. So there is project 1. I think that I could probably have this done in 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. Let's say that. We'll go off that theory. If I get that done in 2 weeks, then that leaves me with 5 days left of my proposed Maynia. So my other is Summer by the Cricket Collection. And I've talked in the past, but I really think I need like maybe 5 days, maybe 6 days to get this finished. So it's probable that I could get both of them done in the 19 days of Maynia. Maybe an extra day if I needed it. This is on 32 count Belfast in Pastel Lilac from Zweigart. And you see more pink here than you have ever seen on camera in the 3 years since I started this. Yep. That's pretty crazy. It's still really pale. I mean, it's barely pink, but it's slightly. So that's where I'm starting from. This was my final Maynia 2016 start, if anybody's curious. Queen Anne's Lace was also Maynia 2016. So that's option 4. A couple of things. Okay. First of all, I reserve the right to choose something that doesn't win the votes, so to speak. I'm holding on to that right, I guess. You should also know that Danny voted, and he voted for In This Moment. I have pros and cons with all of them. With option 1, In This Moment, the pro would be potentially having 2 pages. The downside would be I don't know if I can repeat last September. I don't know if I can do that again. We'll see. Opus 2. I'm going to be really bummed if I don't get it done. But really good progress would be great. Option 3. I just finished a Mirabilia. Do I really want to sink my teeth into another one so soon afterwards? I don't know. But I would like to have her finished before the end of the year so that I can get the chart back to its rightful place. Option 4. There's potential that I could get neither of them finished. But there's also potential that I could have them both finished and have time left over. So I'm wishy-washy. So I would really appreciate it if you guys would vote. Post in your comments below which one you think I should go with. You don't have to option number them or whatever. Just tell me the name of the project you think I should work on for Maynia. And when I film next week, I will be back with the results of that. So that's the end of the planning segment for this week. Okay, let's do haul real quick. This is going to be really fast. I have some stuff in my mailbox, but I'll talk about that next time. So, first things first, I just want to say thank you. I received 2 cards in the mail this week from some giveaway winners, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. You didn't have to send me a thank you. It was a giveaway, so it was for you, but nonetheless, I super appreciate it. So this card right here with the bulldog on it, that is one of those cards from Alice, and Alice is just the sweetest thing. Alice, I so appreciate you. She also sent me this cool thread, and it is, this is Cosmo. Okay, so this is Cosmo brand cotton, and it's a variegated, as you can see, with reds and oranges, my colors, and it's from their Seasons collection. So I'm assuming that this is probably the fall color. Thank you, Alice. This is so great. I almost used this for my signature in Stargazer. If I wasn't trying to sort of hide my signature a little bit, I would have used this. But I may use this for my signature in future. We'll see. I do like to hide my signature if I can, but this is such a me thread that would be a lot of fun. And if not that, then I'll find it for something else. Thank you. I also got a little Starbucks card, so thank you, Debbie. And I'm gonna go probably indulge in that tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I think so. Okay, last piece of haul that I have to show you is an auto ship, and this is Songbird's Garden from Cottage Garden Samplings. I get mine through Trisha at 3L Threads. This is block number 9, and there is beauty and simplicity. And featured here, Stitching May, are you listening? This is the American Goldfinch and the Daisy. Isn't that pretty? I love this. I also love that this block is simplicity, and there are only 11 colors in this. That's pretty cool. I think it's beautiful, and I'm gonna have to find some fabric for that to start next year. So there is that. Like I said, haul was real quick. So let's switch over and talk about books here. So I've talked about my stitching finish. Now let's talk about my book finish. I finished reading this weekend The Sweetness of Forgetting by Kristen Harmel. Now, last week when I talked about this, I said that I wanted to say something positive about it, and then I proceeded to not really say anything positive about it. And that is purely my fault. It's not really the book's fault. So let me run through what The Sweetness of Forgetting is about here real quick. It's a character-driven story. It's contemporary with some historical references. And it is primarily about this woman named Hope. She comes from a line of women who love their partners, but at a distance. It's not close love. It's love out of necessity more than like true love, I suppose. So Hope is recently divorced, and she has a teenage daughter who is rebelling because of the divorce. Hope has found herself running her family's bakery, which she was not intending on doing. She wanted to be a lawyer. Life and things happened. And then Hope's grandmother, Rose, is living in a memory care facility because she has Alzheimer's. In one of Rose's more lucid days, she sets Hope on a task to locate her family and to find out what happened to them. she comes from Paris. She grew up in Paris and then met her husband and moved to the United States and left her family behind. And started a new life, essentially, because she grew up in a Paris just before the German occupation of France. And so she fled. Okay, so there is a mystery aspect to this. We want to know what happened to her family, and I'll admit it, that's what kept me turning the pages. I wanted to know what was going on with the family, what happened to them, what became of them. And the mystery grows a little bit. So that was really interesting, and it kept me going. What I did not like about this book were the characters. All of the characters were perfect. They were all perfection. The main character was not perfection, but she was written in a way that, like, you could believe in her growth. But she was super naive and unjustifiably so. I understand that naive characters exist, naive people exist, and so they have their place in stories, and she just had no right to be this naive and clueless about the Holocaust, about World War II, about her family. She was really, really naive, and it drove me a little batty. On top of that, she wondered and realized a lot. It would be like, I wondered why my daughter knew more about life than I did. I realized that so-and-so thought this about me, and I wondered why. It was constantly this, I wonder and I realize, and it was like, surely we have better words than I wondered and I realized. Yeah, it is kind of beachy read, trying to be more profound than it is. It's trying to be more profound than it is. It's chick lit fiction. And I don't mean to rag on chick lit fiction, like, as a genre. Like, that's not my intent here. It's just that I like to read character-driven stories that are deeper than this. And this went very surface level. Everybody was perfect, except our main character, who wondered and realized everything. So I ended up rating it 3 stars because I did finish it, and I didn't hate it. Like I said, I really kind of enjoyed the mystery aspect and it unfolding. I talked last time about how it was super easy for Hope to reach these answers. For somebody who is naive and not worldly and whatnot, she got on a plane and flew to Paris and traipsed around Paris completely without batting an eye. No. I have a hard time believing it. This book asked me to suspend my disbelief quite frequently. So I did like the mystery. I didn't like all of the story, and it could have been stronger. But I rated it 3 stars, so there's that. I read that for a task in School of Magical Stitch's extra credit reading. We had to read something about a bakery or sweets, because chocolate features prominently in book 3. So, there you have it. Read that. I have made some decisions about books. So I'm no longer going to try to finish The Priory of the Orange Tree with, 11 days left? It's just not going to happen. I'm not reading as much as I need to, specifically with that book. But in general, I'm not reading as much as I need to, so I'm not even going to try to finish that this month. I'll keep reading it in fits and spurts, as I have done, but it's just not going to happen this month. What is going to happen this month is today I'm going to start Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Need to get that read. And I am also going to finish this next book, which is Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo. I'm listening to this on audiobook, and this is my task, or my book chosen for the reread task. It's like time turner, go back and reread something. I've read this a few times. I am about 100 pages from the end, so I may finish this today. I am listening to the audiobook, but then I track my progress with my bookmark. So anyway, so there is that, and I'll talk more about this when I get it finished, which will more than likely be before next week. So there's that. Okay, next I want to talk about some recent book acquisitions. I talked about how on Saturday my distraction, my Stitchnanigans distraction, was Dark 13 stitching. Well, on Friday, my Stitchnanigans distraction was going to the bookstore. I didn't really intend on buying anything, but Danny had just left for Blacksburg, and so I was like, I'm going to go to the bookstore. Bookstore is a happy place for me, so that's what I did. I can't say that I went in to necessarily buy anything, but I bought 2 books. But it's okay, because price of 1, basically, almost. Close enough. So, I'm going to talk about this one first, and then the one that basically made me buy things. So this is A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan. This is a historical saga. It's a generational saga of a family of women who are descendants of witches. And they sort of pass the craft down in each generation. And I picked this up on a whim. What I typically do in a bookstore is I'll walk around and grab a whole bunch of things until my arms hurt, and then sit down, read a few pages, and decide if I'm going to buy it. This one, I had already done that, and so I looked at it, I liked the cover of it, I grabbed it, and I walked out with it. I was excited about it, so I don't really know too much about this, and so I'm looking forward to getting into it. One of the things that drew me in, I cannot lie, deckled pages. I love that. Yep, that makes me happy. So, there's that. Now, this is the book that made me buy books to begin with. It is a 2019 release that I have been looking forward to for a few months now, and it recently published. And that is Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This is African Game of Thrones. Yep, that's what it's been billed as. And I'm so here for it, it's not even funny. Marlon James is a previous best-selling author, and he also is a Man Booker Prize winner for A Brief History of 7 Killings. And supposedly, those other books are not epic fantasy. They are contemporary, maybe fiction, maybe nonfiction. So this is a huge departure from what he normally does. And I'm just so excited about it. So I'm going to read you the blurb from Neil Gaiman, and then maybe you'll go buy it too. Black Leopard, Red Wolf is the kind of novel I never realized I was missing until I read it. A dangerous, hallucinatory, ancient Africa, which becomes a fantasy world as well realized as anything Tolkien made, with language as powerful as Angela Carter's. It's as deep and crafty as Gene Wolfe, bloodier than Robert E. Howard, and all Marlon James. It's something very new that feels old in the best way. I cannot wait for the next installment. I'm so excited about this. I'm ready to dive in. I'm going to finish Prior of the Orange Tree first, because this is another big book. It doesn't look like it. In fact, it looks smaller than A Secret History of Witches. Secret History of Witches is 440 pages, I think. Black Leopard, Red Wolf is close to 700. This uses really, really thin paper, and so it's really heavy, but it's really thin paper. You can't see it. There's a map. Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I am looking forward to getting into it. Yeah, so there is that. I'm hoping that it can fit into year 4 with School of Magical Stitches, but we'll just wait and see. So that's all I have for books for now. I'm hoping that they're going to release the details about year 4 extra credit before I come back next week. And then I can maybe talk to you guys about what my plans are for that, but we'll see what happens. Our last topic for conversation is going to be knitting, and I'm hoping to make this quick. So I have a finish and a new cast on, and the finish should come as no surprise. I finished this weekend my Sprite Fen shawl. This is by Helen Stewart, aka Curious Handmade, and this was a part of Shawl Society Season 2, which was 2017. And so I finished it. It's not yet blocked, and it's going to grow exponentially when it blocks. It just started raining. I hope you guys can hear that. Yeah, it's going to grow exponentially, and I'm looking forward to that big time. As you can see, it is semicircular, and I think it's beautiful. So I knit this out of Shalimar Yarns Breathless Lace in the colorway Thistle. It is a merino silk cashmere single ply lace weight yarn. And let me see, I think I weighed this and I have 13 grams left. So the total shawl is somewhere around the range of 700 yards. That's what the finished one is. So there's that. I need to get this blocked. I was going to block it yesterday and just ended up not. And then I was going to block it today and saw the rain in the forecast, so I thought, well, better wait. So this will get blocked on my next sunny day. And I'm really excited about that. My first finished project for 2019. Very excited. I would really like to finish 6 shawls this year, but I'm not setting that in stone. But I have one done, at least. Okay, so I finished this on Saturday. Sunday, my distraction from Stitch Shenanigans was a new cast on. Okay, so here's what happened. For the last 3 weeks, I think, I have wanted to cast on something new. Romy Hill released her Mystery Shawl 2019, and I was like, I am so here for this. I have my yarns picked out. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I don't have needles. I don't have any spare needles. I have them, it's just that they are locked up in projects that need to get finished already. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll take this sign from the universe. I won't cast this on. Okay. About a week later, a new shawl wrap was released by Webster Street Knittery, and it is the Woolberry wrap. And I fell in love with this thing like sight. Love at first sight is really what it is. And I was super excited about it. I looked at the needles. I had needles. I have needles for this. I'm so excited. I don't have yarn. You need 3 skeins of yarn, 2 skeins of one color, and then 1 in a contrasting or complementary color. And I just don't have the shawl stash. I have a lot of single skeins, and I even have some single skeins that will work well with another, but I really just don't have 2 of one color and 1 of a comparing contrasting. I just don't have it. So my birthday is next Thursday, and there's a Badge and Eat Sleep Knit, which is order yarn in your birthday, so I can order it then, but that's not till Thursday. So I couldn't cast this on. Sunday morning, I'm putzing around on Instagram, kind of waiting for somebody to go on Instagram Live, hoping they will from Stitch Shenanigans. I know it was the end of the festivities, but I still thought maybe. While I'm on Instagram, I see that Lisa Haynes, I'm not quite sure, she released a new shawl. And that shawl is the Moonlit Path. And it calls for worsted weight yarn and big needles. And I was like, done. I'm casting it on. I had finished Sprite's Fen the day before, and so I was like, I've got knitting time available. I can do this. So I cast it on. This knits up crazy fast. Like, really fast. So if you're looking for a quick worsted weight shawl, 3 colors, interesting looking, check this out. So let me show you where I am up to, and then I'll talk about yarn. So this is where I am at. This is the main body of the shawl. Yeah. So in 5 days, I have done 9 of 12 repeats. That's what I'm hoping to get. Okay, so she calls for US 10 needles, but she says that if you knit tight, maybe you want to go up a needle size or 2, because this is slip stitch color work, and if you knit too tight, then it can get a little bit lost. Slip stitch color work is great. It's fast, it's easy. Yeah, if you can knit and purl, you can do this. I'm telling you. I told Michelle that now that she's a knitter, she can totally do this. It's really, really pretty great. So I went up to a 10.5, and so I'm hoping to get 12 repeats of the body. She said in the pattern that you can knit basically to your stash, whatever you've got available. And so she, I think, got 13 repeats on 10s, and so I'm going to aim for 12 or 12.5. Anyway, here's the back, so you can see what that looks like. Still interesting, but definitely the back. So there is that. Now my yarns are Malabrigo Rios, which is 100% superwash merino. It's a plied yarn. And so my main body colors are purpuras, so some gorgeous purples. Here, I'll bring it in close so you can see that. And then natural. For color work, really of any kind, you want high contrast so that the stitches will show up. So there is that. And then my border is in this, which is much richer than it's showing. This is water green, and yeah, it's richer than it's showing. It's more green than it's showing. Maybe I'll insert a picture that you guys can see a better representation of what this looks like, because it's not really shown up correctly. With the overcast day and the rain, it's just not going to show up right. So anyway, so there's that. I had sort of daydreamed about possibly finishing this within a week. I've talked about this Speedy Crafter badge on Eats Live Knit in the past, but it's not going to happen. The rows have gotten long, and this yarn is dyeing my fingers a little bit. So I'm not going to be able to get it to show because it really only shows up once I've knit 3 repeats. Ask me how I know this. But it's going fast, but it's not going to go that fast. I will work on this until I get bored, or until yarn arrives for Woolberry, or or until it's finished. Who knows? Whichever of those comes first. And I will talk about what I work on next when that happens. So that is everything as far as knitting is concerned. And that is all that I have for this video. We made it to the end. Let's hope it all saved. I just want to take a second here to say thank you. Thank you everybody so much for your love and support. Thank you for coming back to my channel and watching my videos week after week. Thank you for sitting through this long one, if you did. Thank you if you're new for checking me out. I hope that you liked what you saw, and you'll come back next time. I think that's it for me. So everybody, take care, happy stitching, As always, be kind, and I will see you next time.